Today, I have the pleasure of talking with James. James, would you like to introduce yourself and your business to our community?
Hi, I'm James from JMB Estimating. I run a freelance mechanical and electrical estimating business just outside of Birmingham in the UK.
Amazing. And what does that entail?
So I work by myself, but I work with a network of other freelance estimators to support local and businesses further away with their estimating needs. So anything from basic takeoffs of drawings right through to fully pricing of projects from start to finish for mechanical and electrical contractors. So that's, you know, your plumbing, your heating, your lighting, data, that sort of thing. So
Amazing. And what made you start your business and get into the estimating world?
So I was estimating wise, I sort of fell into it really. I had some eye surgery about 15 years ago, which meant I couldn't sit in front of the computer full time for a little while. So meant I was having to work part-time, and the sort of work that was available to me during that period was estimating really. It was helping local businesses just to sort of as and when they needed it, which at the time suited me because I couldn't work full-time, but it also suited them. As I got back to the point where I could work full-time, it sort of just felt a natural fit to carry on doing estimating really. So I've worked for a number of mechanical contractors around the sort of West Midlands area, and about 4 or 5 months ago made the leap to set up and do something with myself. So
Amazing. And how are you finding it in the first months of the business?
Nerve-wracking to start off with, I'll be honest. One of the joys of estimating is you can't really plan more than sort of 3 to 4 weeks ahead at sort of very best case scenario, just because the nature of the business is you get a project and you get 2 weeks to turn it around, and then that's it, it's done, and you're on to the next one. So forward planning is a bit of a challenge, but overall it's been really positive. Been really blown away by the levels of support that I've had, and the work seems to be filtering through now at a pace that's sustainable for me, and there still seems to be room to grow. So at the moment, yeah, I couldn't be happier, to be honest, with how it's gone. So
Amazing. And what was it that kind of inspired you to go, right, I'm doing it?
There's a number of things really. I'd been at my last place for 7 years, and I'd had a great time while I was there. I'd met some wonderful people, had some brilliant opportunities, and I was allowed to grow into the position that I had, and I'd also been able to develop a team behind me. So I'd brought in an electrical guy and then another couple of mechanicals sort of underneath me. And to see them sort of grow and develop was quite rewarding. But it sort of got to the point where it's a case of I felt I'd achieved everything that I could do. And after 7 years, a little bit of boredom had set in. So I was sort of thinking about what's going to be the next step for me in my career. So I went for a few interviews with other contractors to sort of look at doing different things. So one, for example, was to go and work for a main contractor doing analysis of M&E bids coming into them, which was, it's very different to what I've done before, but it didn't quite feel right. And then I was actually talking to my dad, and he suggested, why don't you give freelance a go? Because as he put it to me, at the moment, the market is hot for estimators because there's a huge shortage of them. And so he said, worst case scenario, if it all goes wrong, you just go get another job. So I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. So I gave it a go, and 4 months later, don't regret it. And so far can't see me want to do anything else, at least for the foreseeable future. So
Fab. And what's the vision? What does 5 years from now look like?
Oh, that's a difficult question, really, because I'm sort of taking each day as it comes at the moment.
Should we do a year? What does a year's time look like?
A year's time, I've sort of set myself some turnover targets of where I'd like to be money wise, which gives me sort of the financial stability that I want. I'm trying to build like a pot of money, as it were, that sort of sits there so that if things go a little bit wrong or there's not enough work, I'm not struggling. So it's to build up that, it's to get the turnover going. yeah, just to really keep developing the pool of clients I've got, and keep developing hopefully a good service and keep bringing new people on board. And I suppose in 5 years' time, eventually, long way down the line, is there's thoughts in the back of my head about maybe bringing on other people underneath me, or working out of an office or something like that, with to slightly enlarge what I can do in terms of capacity. But yeah, for the time being, it's just to sustainably grow the business and make sure that I'm still here in 2 years' time.
No, amazing.
God knows what's
And
going to happen. So,
well, what else can they throw at us? Speaking of which, what the world and the universe has thrown at us all, and because you've been in the industry for a long time, has it recovered from the pandemic, and this, is the cost of living affecting it?
Prices are fluctuating daily on certain products, pipework, cable, things like that. You're lucky if you can get somebody to hold the price now for a week. So they're going up and down. It's not like it's a constant vertical trajectory. I mean, on average it probably is, but the prices really are all over the place. Prices you can manage, though. That's not, it's not brilliant, don't get me wrong, because if you're trying to price a project that's going to go ahead in 12 months time, you've got to allow for an element of inflation within your costings, or not, and you take the risk. But that's up to my clients, and that's something that I discuss with them as we're putting the bid together. The biggest impact has been by far lead-in times. I was talking to a manufacturer of pumps last week, and they were telling me in certain instances now you won't get hold of pumps until this time next year for certain types. So lead-in times have gone from a matter of weeks to months and months and months, and that's having a bigger impact than anything else, because specs are being thrown out the window, because consultant might want product X, but if you can't get product X for 6 months, then you've got to go with an alternative, and that's had a bigger impact than anything. And yeah, I've absolutely no doubt that as the cost of living crisis sort of bites, really, it's going to make that worse as well, especially with inflation going up. Products are going up all the time, so yeah, it's got a while before I think it's going to stabilize. So
no, of course. And what advice do you give the businesses that you're estimating for? What advice do you give them on that environment, to protect yourself as well, I guess?
Varies depending on the project, to be honest. If a project's going ahead more than sort of 3 to 4 months out, then I advise them that they need to start thinking about what they're going to do in terms of inflation. Now that can be whether or not they ask for clauses within the contract that allow them to increase the prices of materials. That's kind of up to them, between them and their clients, or whether or not within the tender bid you allow for an inflationary amount to go onto the prices that you're submitting. The downside, of course, with all of that is that if you're allowing for those prices and somebody else doesn't, you're not going to win the work. So it's a bit of a careful balancing act, really, and it's a lot of it's about getting feedback from the clients and trying to understand that make them understand that prices are going up all the time, so we can't just split per price and then you're going to stick with it for 12 months. We need to build in some allowance. It's just what that allowance is going to be, and that's I can't tell my client what the difference between pipework is going to be now and in 12 months time. I just can't. It could be 5%, it could be 25%. I just don't know. So all we can do is take your best guess, and then they need to have a conversation with the clients. But at the end of the day, especially in this industry, it's all about relationships, and it's all about talking to people, and the majority of my clients seem to have good relationships with the people they're working for, and I think that pays dividends more than anything, really. So
yeah, no, it's like, and exactly, communication is key, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah.
So couple back to your business and setting up.
Okay.
Is there anything that you wish you'd known before you sort of set up and made the decision? Is there, what are those lessons so far in your journey?
I'd say to sort of not get hung up on sort of clients' early doors, really. Before I made the jump, I obviously did a bit of research and sort of spoke to people about, will you use me, will you not, etc., etc., etc. And I felt that I had a pool of about 4 or 5 people that are reasonably likely they would use me. And so far, of all the jobs I've done, I've only done one for any of them, and I've been going 4 months. Yeah, so you have to very quickly get it into your head that as a freelancer, you are there to sell them free time. You know, that people will only use you A, if they can't do it, which I've got in some instances, or B, if they haven't got the time to do it, and you very really quickly need to understand that. So yeah, get out there and get marketing early, I would say, and don't rely on key clients, because you know, they won't give you the work if it's not there at the end of the day. So yeah, and LinkedIn's got a bit of a reputation, I think, for not being how can I put it, I always looked down a bit on LinkedIn when I was working for somebody, just because it felt a bit like it was just a naff version of Facebook. But I have to say, it's been really, really helpful for developing clients and for developing leads. And I would say probably 2/3 of my work has come from contacts and leads, but another 30% has just come straight off LinkedIn. People I've never contacted before, but it's it's been great, and I've met some great contacts and had some nice work off it. So yeah, don't underestimate the power of LinkedIn. It's quite a powerful website, I must say.
Amazing, fabulous. And then my last question, really, James, is looking back on your journey so far, how would you sum it up in 3 words?
That's a tough question. Probably exciting, nerve-wracking, and challenging. I mean, that's probably that's a bit cliche, isn't it? But I suppose that does sum it up quite nicely, to be fair. So
no, I like it. Amazing, fabulous. So we are wrapped up. Great job.
Good.